Hello, everyone. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, the Eagles have already beat the Chiefs and the refs. This is going to be my mini lecture on pressure, and this will give you information to do well on the quiz that's posted in the college lecture section in Canvas, and give you some information to help you with your homework questions as well. Okay, so with the PhET simulation, we talked about pressure, and then the general definition of pressure is just to be a force applied over some area, over an area. All right, so it's important because fluids do this. So if you're like walking in air, the air applies a pressure on you. And if you're underwater, right, the water also applies a pressure on you. Sometimes we don't think about air applying a pressure, but it does. Because if you can imagine, like if you're a person, I don't want to draw a person, so I'm going to steal this picture. And I'm just going to copy and paste them. Copy, paste. Okay, so we got our two people. Their names are Holly and Dolly, and they're on Earth in the atmosphere because they breathe air. And you can imagine like there's a column of air above their head that applied a pressure down on them. So there's a pressure on one person, and then I can copy and paste, and there's like the pressure on the other person. Yeah, so the general formula for pressure is going to be you take your force and divide by area, and that's how you find pressure. So big P is pressure because little p is momentum and rho is density. So this is pressure. And the units for pressure, the main ones that we're using in this class are pascals, but there's others. PA. And 1 Pascal is defined as a Newton per square meter. Oops, that's square meter. F is force. The units for force are newtons. That's the same we've been using all year. And then A is area. And the units for area, we're use square meters. Okay, so it's important that you use the right units whenever you're plugging in your numbers. Otherwise, you will get the question wrong in Quest, and you'll be upset. Okay, so there's like the general formula for pressure. But if we're calculating the pressure for a fluid, then there's another equation that comes from this one that's more helpful because it's hard to measure like force and area of like your fluid. So I'm just gonna rewrite this equation and then show you how we get the other one that's on your form chart. So pressure is force divided by area. So the force that the fluid applies on you is equal to its weight, right? Because like gravity pulls it down. So the force is going to be the weight of whatever fluid is above you. So weight is going to be your mass of the fluid times little g, multiplied by area. But again, it's really hard to find like the mass of air or the mass of water because I don't know how to measure the mass that's above my head. So instead, we are going to use like our density. So the formula for density, right, that's rho, little p, is equal to mass divided by volume. And if I want to solve for volume, solve for mass and multiply everything by volume. So then we get density times volume is equal to mass. It's an m. So let's substitute density times volume for mass. Again, there's another problem because I don't know how to find the volume that's above my head, but I do know like the shape. So anytime you find the volume of like a 3D shape, right, in this case it's a cylinder, so all you gotta do is just take the cross-sectional area of the cylinder and multiply it by whatever height is above you. And you can do that for any shape. So if you have like a triangle at the bottom and you're trying to find the shape or the volume of the triangular prism, you take the area of the triangle and you multiply it by whatever height of your like shape. So we're going to take the area. So to find volume, it's the area times the height. So let's replace area times height for volume. So density times area times height times little g divided by area, and that's equal to pressure. Then A is on top, A is on the bottom. So what we really get is pressure for big P, and that's equal to your density times your height times little g. But I think in your formula chart, it's density times little g times height. So I'm just gonna replace that so people don't get confused. And then this is your formula you're gonna use whenever you're calculating the pressure from a fluid. So pressure, you're gonna make sure you're using pascals. This is density. The units for density is like mass per volume. So mass is gonna be kilograms and volume is gonna be cubic meters. This G is the same G we've been using, acceleration due to gravity, so 9.8 meters per second squared. And this H, you can use height if you're like calculating air pressure, like how high the air is above you, or if you're using like if you're using this formula to calculate water, it can also be like depth, it's like how deep you are underwater. So it's either like height of fluid or depth, and the units for that are meters. So there's the formula on how to calculate the pressure from a fluid. And since there's a lot of units for pressure, usually they'll give you the conversion. I don't expect you to memorize it. So I'll just give you like a few common conversions for pressure. So again, the main one's pascals. So 1 pascal, and that's gonna be equal to 1.013 times 10 to the 5th ATM. So atmospheres, right? Maybe you've seen this in chemistry, and that's also equal to 133.32. They call it like torr or like millimeters of mercury. So I like millimeters of mercury. So millimeters, and the symbol for mercury is Hg, or torrs. And there's like 3 units of pressure. Oh, there's also a PSI. I'm gonna quickly look up the conversion for PSI in pascals to PSI, like pounds per square inch. So 1 pascal is, oh, it's really small. So 1 pascal, it's also equal to 0.000145 pounds per square inch. So PSI. And then if you go scuba diving, you use like pounds per square inch to measure pressure. But that's the quick mini lecture on pressure. So like fly, eagles fly, and I hope you all have a good rest of the day.